Hi, my name is Jesse Kinnick. This is my AEP 851 Module 1 introduction video. Something a little bit about me. I've been teaching for the last 5 years. 1 year was in Hutchinson, Kansas. I went to school in Sterling, Kansas. So, yeah, a little bit of connection with Kansas there. This is my 4th year in Delta. I first came as a 4th grade teacher, last two as a 5th, and then 6th grade math just moved there. I'm married with one child. Been married for the last 5 years. My son's 1 year old, so he's kind of a handful. Looking forward to and enjoying summer with him and doing a lot of stuff. He's moving around like crazy and looking forward to the time off. I'm also a football coach. I've been doing that for the last 5 years here. In fact, that's why this is a little late getting put up there. We just got back from a football camp in Gunnison, Colorado, so that kind of took us a little while to get back. Like I said, I was previously an elementary teacher, both in Delta, and then I also taught at Avenue A in Hutchinson, Kansas, 5th grade there. That school's being closed down this year, which is a little sad to hear, but lots of changes happening there in Hutchinson. Those of you that know about the Western Slope in Colorado, it's not as populated as, like, say, Denver and the Parker and East Slope area. So there's lots of stuff to do outdoors, man. There's hunting and fishing and hiking and four-wheeling and you name it, it can happen out here. So we love being outdoors. We're outdoors 90% of the time, just because that was a big reason why we moved here. So I tend to graduate the master's program this July. That's pretty exciting. I got this class and one more, and hopefully be done in the next month or two, and then move on from there. So I'm pretty excited about that. After that graduation, I'm kind of on a 3-year plan. Been in lots of contact with principals and even a superintendent, and that's kind of what we thought was best. I know I'm on their radar, and it's a small enough district that they understand who I am and what I'm trying to do. And between football and teaching, we just think the best route is about a 3-year plan. Either can jump into a head coaching position there after 3 years, or maybe even administration. So exciting things in 3 years, but as of right now, teaching is my gig, and I really love what I do. About my district, Delta County District has 5 elementary schools and 4 high schools. Lots of tiny towns. Delta's the largest town with classification activities. Like we're like considered, we're all like Colorado's usually like one classification less than everybody else. So like we're 2A football here, which would really be like 1A football for you guys. So we're not very big. We only have about 500 kids in our largest school, in our high school. It covers about 5 different towns, so we're just spread real thin. And that's an issue that Delta's been dealing with for a long time. Lots of towns caught within the district, lots of history, and a lot of people don't want to shut down one school, because if you shut down the one school, the town kind of shuts down. That's its heritage. So we're struggling with that a lot, so that's why it seems really big, but it's actually not. We cover a large area, but just not a lot of people in that area. The population is mainly middle-class Caucasian students. We only have like an 18% Hispanic rate. I know it says district is about 6%, but it's actually not the district. It's actually Delta. So Delta is about 60% free and reduced lunch. So outside of Delta, that grows quite a bit because the numbers shrink and so do the jobs. And so Delta itself is pretty high in free and reduced lunch. And then each school is different along itself. Student population around 20% Hispanic, like I said. The town of Delta is struggling, and the population has changed over the last 5 years due to the mines closing. There are about 5 coal mines in the area, and only one of them is open, and it's only partially open. So since I've been here, there's been a major, like over 1,000 students missing in our district. Yeah, it's really hurt the area. The income has changed financially. The economics has changed. Everything has changed. The town is struggling right now, so we're hoping to hopefully make a bounce back. They're making some moves to bring in some other companies in the area to hopefully make up for those lost jobs. About my school, so I'll talk about the middle school. It's the 2nd largest school in Delta County. It's currently being remodeled, which is pretty exciting. It's an older building, so they're trying to make some updates to it. It holds grades 6 through 8. Right now it has a rough reputation, hoping to make it a change there. They brought in me and 2 other teachers for some stability. It has a reputation of kind of being an area where children are bullied. It's kind of herding cats. There's not a lot of education getting on. It's just more of like daycare, and we're just really trying to change that and increase the reputation and increase the just the students' appreciation there. It's just kind of a stepping stone right now. We really want them to have buy-in in what we're doing. Right now, we're in the process of becoming one-to-one with Chromebooks. By 2019, there'll be a Chromebook for every single student in the middle school. And one of the big changes that we're trying to change is right now the admin turnover is about every 2 years, either an AP or a principal. So it's a struggle down there. It's hard to get in a routine. Things just when you get used to something, it changes due to the admin change. So we're really trying to get that change down there, and I'm excited for the future and what that holds. So here's how the district uses data, or compared to like maybe how our schools use data. The district uses data to help them understand how our curriculum is getting our kids ready for state assessments. We do not like to say that we teach to the book, but teach to the test. But as we know, that's a huge piece in education right now. Funding is all dependent on that, and as we know, funding makes the world go round. So we have a lot of curriculum in place that we believe will help us be successful in our state assessments, and that's how the district uses it. We have benchmark assessments for our math, for our reading, all these different things, and then they look at that information and they go, okay, based off this information, where does that put us in our state assessments? And so here's a great example. We have a pretty tough math curriculum right now. It's a Go math curriculum. And due to that, we have found that the correlation between the end of the year benchmark test and the state assessment test is that if our students can get a 50% or better on the end of the year benchmark test, our students will be proficient or higher on the state assessments. And that's through 5 years of collecting data and finding trends. And so far, we're looking at year 6, and that's holding true too. So that's how our district uses data to help us understand what we're doing and how it applies to state assessments. My current school right now does not use data very well, and that was a huge piece of why I'm moving there. In an elementary setting, we use data every day. Down here it talks about previous school use data to drive instruction. We PLC'd every Wednesday. We provided data on the goals that we set on the previous week, and then we determine the next step we need to take in reaching those goals or creating new goals if we reach them. So that's, I think in all districts it depends on what school you're in, but currently at the high school and the middle school, data is pretty much just gradebook data opposed to instructional data. So we're hoping to, in an elementary setting, it's very different. PLC data is really driving instruction, so we're hoping to kind of climb that ladder and bring that up to the next level. Here's how I use my data. So I use my data every day to drive instruction. I use a lot of exit tickets. I have tests, quizzes, both formal and informal. And I use them almost every day, because then at the end of every day, I go through the data, I decide what kids need extra help, what don't, and then I create my math groups, small groups based off that. So each day, my small groups could look different. And that's because each day we could be covering a standard day to day. So what I do is try to look at that data every day. And sometimes it's big assessments, sometimes it's just a quick 2-3 question exit ticket. And so we use benchmark assessments to determine where we are based off standards like I talked about with the district. And then again, I use more unit tests as like an umbrella look, like how did we do on geometric shapes, or how did we do on number sense, or how did we do on these things. And then we can always go back and spiral with the struggling students that need extra help on that. So I like to think that I use data all day, every day, but I know I also have a long ways to go. So it's just the start of how I do it. So here's my plan for the next couple of years. My plan is simple. I plan on going to DMS and the middle school and showing them how I use my data. It's not a perfect system, but it has worked fairly well for me. My scores have been fairly decent. From there, we'll get them on board with that, and then hopefully they can understand the importance of data. And then if we can get that simple process going. Then we have the opportunity to go to the next step and collect more data and go into those standards and go into substandards and seeing how maybe one standard addresses another, and then maybe if we need to change the pacing, or maybe if we need to change how we teach things, that's what's coming up. But first, we have to understand what data is being used, why are we using it, and is it important? A lot of times they're just collecting data to say, hey, yeah, kids did well or didn't do well. That's not important information. What's important information is connecting data to standards, asking whether or not that, what does it mean if they mastered or proficient based off these standards, and then what can we do to help them. And so that's what leads in the future. Pretty excited. Yeah, I'm excited for this class. I like to think that I use a lot of data and I'm pretty good at using it, but just looking at reading some of your guys' intros and understanding where you guys come from, I know all teachers love using data. And so I'm pretty excited to collaborate with you all and get some ideas on how to use data more efficiently and just, yeah, I think it'll benefit me as a teacher and as a future administrator. So look forward to working with you all. Thanks. Bye.